Hi, everyone. We're really excited about another Instagram Live, and we are going to get the Spiring with us in just a moment. I think he's connecting right now, and we're looking forward to it. There he is. Hello,
Hello.
Dusty. How are you?
Good. How are
Good. I
you?
thought maybe you were doing like a dive into the.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I had to be sideways or upwards or whatever.
Perfect. Well, welcome here. Thanks for joining us. And like we've done with Mike Stevens, our head coach of the men's indoor team, and Alex Cron, of course, of the women's indoor team. Now it's time to talk about our beach volleyball teams for Canada Games 2021, and say congratulations on being our head coach of the men's team.
Thank you very much. Yeah, happy to be a part of it. I'm excited, and I'm happy to be selected. I'm excited to work with these athletes.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you, and for me personally, to get to chat with you, get to know you a little better myself, and also to get to know beach volleyball. I think some of us indoor volleyballers, we don't always know a lot about beach, and it seems that in Manitoba, sometimes that's the way it goes. So we want to build the excitement for beach volleyball, and we know there's still a lot of opportunity for athletes to be playing for you and at the Canada Games. So we're pretty excited about that. You know what? I think the whole point of this, Dusty, is to get to know you better. And sort of one of the highlights that I read about you is that you're a national champion in this sport. And so
I
that
am.
happened
Yeah.
that happened in 2016. So that's awesome. But lead us to that point, because beach wasn't the only thing you did. So maybe start at the beginning for us, Dusty, and let us know where volleyball started for you in your life.
Oh yeah, yeah. I started playing in grade 7 or 8, and then kind of got a little bit more competitive when I went to St. Paul's High School and started playing there a little bit more seriously. Joined the 204 program for club volleyball at 16U. I actually didn't have a ton of success in indoor. Like I was on the team, but I didn't get the opportunity to play quite often. And then I just kind of kept working hard, kept moving up. And then I joined the Bisons in 2013 after high school as a video guy slash manager. And then, yeah, kind of took off from there. Started playing a lot of beach in my second year with my partner, Adam. We played throughout high school. We actually won the high school beach championship too. Back in 2013. So that was a big honor for us. That was the only provincial championship we ever won in high school. So that was cool. And then, yeah, it took off from there. And then just, we played a ton. I played with him my whole career up to that point. We played a ton together. We learned from each other, and we got a lot of experience together. And so we decided to go to youth nationals that year. We had to be competing in Manitoba and doing really well. So we were like, oh, let's go outside and let's try something new. And we went and we pulled it out, and we won the championship. It was a pretty exciting moment. I had my family there. Adam had his family there, and yeah.
So we're talking Adam DeJonge here, am I right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I guess I should have clarified that. I just know him as Adam. I don't say the last name anymore.
Well, he's pretty famous around these parts, but just for those who maybe didn't know
For
quite.
sure.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fantastic indoor player as well, and I think that's kind of a neat thing about beach volleyball. Indoor, of course, we have these big teams of 12, and which is super cool. But beach is something different, and so you guys have been. I mean, you were partners for kind of. Was that the whole time you played beach? Were you ever with anyone else, or was sort of
Yeah.
Adam your guy?
We basically played together our whole career. I mean, a few tournaments here and there we played apart, but pretty much our whole career. We played for almost I want to say almost a decade now together. So, which is pretty wild when we're only 24. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so no, we played together forever.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that whole camaraderie of being on a team, and even in terms of Canada Games. We're going to get into more Canada Games chat in a bit, but how did you guys pick each other? Like, what position did you play indoor? I think a lot of people sometimes get curious on, like, okay, so I was this indoor, that would make me a good beach player. There might be the myth of middle hitters, better indoor than on the beach. And sorry, any middle hitters, you can put a comment on there just to, get me for that. But what position did you play, and how did you guys get together?
So Uh, I'm going to say that I was pretty suited to beach because I played all 6 positions in university. I never played just one position. I have started a game at every position in a U Sports game, so that's something that I'm pretty proud of, and I think that fits well into the beach, obviously. But my road was, as a high schooler, I was like a setter, right side, and then I went to university, played left side for a couple of years. Then I jumped to libero, actually, and then in the same season, jumped to a middle that passed in the back row, and then back to the outside again on the left side. So I kind of had all those skills kind of entwined in me, I guess, throughout my indoor career, and it translated well to the beach.
Fantastic.
And then meeting up with Adam, I mean, he's been a left side dominant player. He's your prototypical left side. He's one of the slighter guys you'll ever see, but he hits the ball harder than anyone I know, and it served us well in the sand. And then when we were playing beach together, we would always just kind of bounce back and forth. I'd block sometimes, he'd block sometimes. I'd play defense, he'd play defense. We never really had one blocker or one defender. For those that don't know beach, usually there is a typical blocker and defender, and we never had that, which I think allowed us to have a lot of success.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't allow other teams to sort of single you out if you're both strong at both.
Yeah. Yeah, it also gave us a chance to rest each other too. Sometimes if they would serve me or serve him, then if one of us needed to block or one of us needed to play defense to get those legs under us and reduce the jumps, and we made it work that way too. So we've always helped out each other that way.
Really cool. Now you just said yourself, you're 24 years old. You're young. I mean, to land a head coaching job of a Canada Games team is so awesome. I think it makes us excited at Volleyball Manitoba that, we have sort of, now you're getting this experience already, and we have you in our province to sort of keep that going. And that's really, really exciting. Do you still play now? Are you still playing beach now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I still play lots. I played in a couple leagues in the past couple of years. We went out to Toronto last summer, I believe, and then competed at the men's nationals there, me and Adam as well. And I was fortunate enough to run a tournament this past summer for beach volleyball out at Grand Beach, and that was a pleasure too. And I hope that we'll be able to play this year. I signed up for the league today, so hopefully we'll keep playing. And then, yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every minute. I'll never stop playing.
Yeah, well, that's been one of the exciting things through this whole COVID, as we all know it's happening, and we're not going to talk a ton about that. It's gotten so talked about, but super exciting for beach volleyball. That's sort of our first avenue in the return to play plan.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's good for a lot of indoor athletes that wouldn't typically try out beach too, because I think that it will improve their game substantially. I know that when I played beach heavily that summer that we won that championship there, I came back a new player at U of M, and that's when I first started to get my shot at playing time. So it improved my skills substantially. And I think this opportunity, you could say, might be a good thing for all those indoor players that might be a little hesitant about getting out.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a couple questions coming in, and I'm going to ask you the question about Western Canada Games in a bit, but someone just asked me to ask you to talk about your new partner and how great he is.
Yeah, that's Zach Jansen at U of M. We're going to play together in the league this year. Adam wasn't able to do it this summer, so I scooped up a young kid, and I'm going to let him block for me, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, let him get more of the jumping reps, eh?
Exactly. Yeah, I want to stay on the ground as much as possible. I haven't worked out too often lately.
Hey, what's your favorite part about playing beach? Why do you love beach? Like, why now that, so you transition to outside from indoor, and obviously it's a passion of yours.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've gotten to play with my best friend. That was a large part of it for playing with Adam for that long. But I also love the fact that I can touch the ball every single rally, and that I'm a large part of the game, because there's obviously only 2 of you. So I find in indoor, sometimes if you're like, I played all positions. So if you're a middle or you're a libero or whatever it is, you're not necessarily touching the ball every time, and it can kind of get a little, I'm not going to say boring, but a little bit different. So I enjoy beach for that reason. And then there's a little bit more tactical involvement to it, I find too, as far as like in the game, where I'm hitting a different shot to try and expose a player or something like that. Whereas indoors, a little bit more of the athletic, high intensity type game.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And some would say, I mean, I think you watch beach players and they look like some of the most fit volleyball athletes on the planet. Just moving in the sand's got to be difficult. How did you find when you transitioned? Did you have to do different kind of training, that kind of thing, to become great on the beach, not just good?
I didn't really change my training at all. I think just playing a lot helped, to be honest. You understand those movement patterns a little bit different, and you you're able to just kind of adapt, I'm going to say, over time. But I think that I played multiple sports as a kid growing up, and I think all those kind of helped me transition as well too, because as many movements as you can do is better. So I think that all those helped, and then taking the beach to the indoor definitely helped my ability to dive and hit the floor and whatnot and stuff in context of indoor. So it
Yeah.
really paid off.
Well, that's for sure. It's almost like being a multi-sport athlete, but bringing that, that extra strength back inside, and then what a great balance of the two. And I had that question for you. I think sometimes it seems that kids they play indoor, and then later on they play the beach, or if indoor ends for them, they play beach. Do you hope to grow beach volleyball in Manitoba even younger, where, do you think there's a place for kids to play more beach first and then maybe indoor after? How do you feel about that?
I think that beach can grow for sure. I mean, in Manitoba here, we have such short summers compared to our winters, and I know people like to enjoy those summers, so sometimes beach gets thrown to the wayside a little bit. But I think that there's lots of opportunities coming up now, and that we should encourage our volleyball athletes to play beach volleyball in the summers, or even during the winter. Now that we have that opportunity here in Winnipeg as well, I think that it would be good for those athletes to get in the sand and try and train those skills a little bit more. I think that beach is naturally like later onset. Like volleyball is a pretty late onset sport as far as like development goes, but I think that beach is even later because you are touching it so frequently. But I think there's lots of opportunity to develop. There's great leagues run by Volleyball Manitoba, and there's lots of good coaches out there that are always willing to help out. So I hope that more athletes do try and move their talents to the sand a little bit more in the summer, but we'll see.
So you helped, I mean, you played at U of M, you played indoor. Now, for myself, even being more of an indoor volleyball player and certainly an indoor volleyball coach, I don't, how would you talk to someone who is thinking, well, I think we need more beach coaches. I think that would probably be a great area to grow beach, right? Is to get more people involved in the coaching side. What are some of the things that you find, that you had to learn pretty quickly in getting involved in coaching beach volleyball? Like, I'd even be curious, how do you run a beach volleyball practice? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, there's many different ways to do it. I'm going to say, I think that a lot of people have a different approach to it. I'm sure that Chloe, if she gets on here, she will have a different approach than I will. I think it's all about being yourself and deciding what works for you. But in beach, again, there's that more of a personal relationship that you can kind of build with those athletes, because you're usually only working with 2, 4, 6 athletes rather than a team of 12 or whatever it is, right? And they can kind of work on those skills that are all related, because everyone needs to pass, everyone needs to be able to set, everyone needs to be able to attack. So I think that all those skills are super important. And that, I mean, as a coach, I would say that I think indoor coaches, if they come to the sand, could probably learn a little bit about their coaching ability too, because it's a lot more fine tweaking and little things like that, rather than like the bigger grand scheme of the movements on the court and whatnot like that. So, and then there's some tactics involved too. I mean, creating a good game plan in beach is huge. If you're going to block line, block cross, drop line, peel all the time, I mean, there's so many options. There's so much creativity you can have that I think that if the indoor coaches came out, they would learn some different tactics that maybe they could take to indoor.
Well, even just hearing you say that, Dusty, it strikes me that sometimes when we indoor coaches, we get going, we say, okay, you're a middle. All right, we need to have you block and hit, and then the libero is going to come in. And, in beach, you don't have that luxury. You got to teach it. You got to teach all your players to do everything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Wow.
we only do have 2, so it's a little bit easier, but yeah, no, it definitely is. I had a great coach growing up too. Like Ryan Ratushniak always told us to work on all skills. He was a big fan of beach volleyball as well, and he always drilled into us that beach will improve your game a ton. And I think that that's helped me become a good beach coach now, because he's always like never singled out a certain skill for a certain athlete, even in indoor.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, and the thing is too, now you're coaching beach. Let's talk about your coaching. Let's talk about, maybe take us along the timeline there a little bit more, and tell us where sort of the coaching bug bit you.
Yeah, I started coaching my first year at university. I've always enjoyed working with kids. I just graduated from education, actually. I'm looking for a phys ed job right now, but I've always enjoyed working with kids, and I've started coaching the junior Bisons. It came around again when I was first there at U of M, and that was fun. I got to learn from a number of good coaches and older players as well, and start my first working with kids. And then I jumped back to 204 volleyball after that ended, and I've been working indoor for the last 5 years, I think now, and I've enjoyed each of those experiences as well. And I think I've learned a lot there too. And then beach has only been the last 2 or 3 years working some camps and just getting in with some athletes that have asked to participate in some beach volleyball and try and tune up their skills. And then last year, I was fortunate enough to get selected as the Western Canada Summer Games coach, and that was a pretty cool experience. I had a large group of athletes that wanted to compete at that games, and I had 10 athletes, and I really enjoyed working with all of them. That was my first real crack at running a program for beach, and I think that they enjoyed it, and I hope they did. And then we had two successful teams go to Western Canada Games, Justin Cross and Isaiah Olfert winning it, and Kaylin Reyes and Albert Francisco getting fourth. They actually, unfortunately, had to play each other in the semifinals, but we could have almost had two teams at the top there. So
Yeah. Oh, so they met a little bit too soon.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just didn't work out the way that we wanted it to. The two Manitoba teams met and the two Alberta teams met. So it's the way it goes. But yeah.
Exactly. Well, one of the questions that did come up from one of the people watching was, how did Manitoba do at the Western Canada Games? I think they just wanted to hear you maybe say that there was a gold medal hanging somewhere, thanks to you and Justin and Isaiah winning that. Hey.
Yeah, no, that was a real cool experience for them, and a real cool experience for me too. Coaching beach is completely different too, because you can't do anything during the game. I'm sure you were going to get into this a little bit, but you can't signal, you can't call timeouts, you can't talk to your athletes at all. You just have to coach them before the game, let them go play, and then you can coach them afterwards. So it's a little bit more stressful almost in some ways because you can't say anything. But yeah, it was a cool experience.
So even in between sets, when they're switching, you can't say anything.
Yeah, nothing. You just got to sit in the stand. Well, at the Western Canada Summer Games, we sat in the stands. I think, if I remember correctly, at the last Canada Games that were here in Winnipeg, the coaches had a certain area that they had to sit so they could be monitored. But for the Westerns, we just sat in the stands, and I was able to enjoy the games with their parents and take some video and try and make a game plan for future games.
Cool. Question just came in. Are there coaches for the Volleyball Manitoba beach leagues?
I believe that Volleyball Manitoba is working on a program for the youth athletes that should be kind of coming out soonish once this whole COVID thing kind of goes away and we're able to get that out there. I believe me and Adam Thompson, our assistant coach for the Canada Games, will be working with some athletes if they would like to take part in that. So just keep your eyes out for that. And yeah, we should have something going there.
Awesome. So you basically just check the Volleyball Manitoba website.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it should be rolling out in the next couple of days. I was talking with Scott Koski over there, and we've decided on some sort of training program for athletes that are interested in a little extra beach work.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Canada Games. First of all, what age group are we looking for the Canada Games?
Yeah, so we're looking for kids that are 20U, which is 2003, I believe. Or no, 2001 or younger, sorry.
Yeah.
I feel old when I talk about 2000 kids, to be honest. I know that might sound weird for me, but I feel really old when it comes to that. So 2001 or younger, but 20U beach athletes. So I think they can technically finish their second year next year of university.
Okay. Oh, has that gotten older or younger from what it used to be?
Younger. So long story here, but the reason that me and Adam got into such serious beach competition was because the Canada Games were coming to Winnipeg in 2016, I guess. 17, sorry. 2017, I guess. And the age at that point was 22U for before that. And then they moved it down, and we were actually going to be the perfect age to represent Manitoba in Manitoba. And that was the reason, that was the driving force behind this whole process. And then they moved it down, and we missed it, unfortunately. But we were happy to see Dan and Ben Hooker represent us. They did awesome as well. But yeah, that was the driving process. So it's moved down. Long story short, from 22U to 20U.
Yeah. Well, that was a super exciting event. Absolutely. Watching Canada Games, and that venue was just incredible. And because of that, I mean, we have a pretty incredible venue here in Winnipeg and some good facilities, don't we?
Yes, yeah, we do. We just got, well, because of the Canada Games, we got Sargent Park there. We got 10 courts over there, and the sand's unbelievable. Tons of room around the court, too, which is pretty rare when you talk about beach courts. Usually whoever designs them seems to just fit them in perfectly with the lines, and that doesn't necessarily work because you need some room to maneuver. But, yeah, Sargent Park's been awesome. I know Maple Grove added 2 courts last year, too. They've been pretty good throughout the years, and then we obviously got the new beach facility, too, as well. So that was a cool place to be in the indoors when it's cold out. So, yeah, we've got a lot of good courts here in Winnipeg, and there's a lot of good community courts, too. I actually just played the other day at Glen Lawn, got some reps in, and, yeah, there's been a couple all around the city. So,
okay, someone's asking, when is the Canada Games? What are the exact dates? Do you know?
August, I believe we're August 9th we start. Roughly around then, and then we go for a week. I think indoors either the week before us or the week after. I'm not sure if we're the first or second. I haven't looked too much into it yet. But
okay, well, I'm sure some are wondering now. Do we know the process yet of how someone can make the Canada Games? Is there going to be competition? Is there going to be tryouts? And what is sort of in your mind, and maybe in your conversations with Scott Koski and Volleyball Manitoba, the process for this summer? Maybe we'll start with that. What's the process for this summer as far as Canada Games is concerned? Anything decided yet?
Yeah, so this summer we're just deciding now, but I believe what we'll have is a training program for athletes that are interested in the Canada Games, female or male, and they can basically try and sign up for times to work with one of the Canada Games coaches, whether it be myself, Chloe, or Adam. And yeah, we're going to try and get some times where we can use smaller groups of 4 or whatever, and get out, and they can schedule those on certain days. I think that's the only step we can take really right now, without knowing more. But that's basically the process for this summer. And then next summer, we roll into ideally a more serious training schedule come May, June, July. And then, yeah, there's a selection tournament for beach volleyball. That's how the teams are decided. They will sign up as a team of 2, and they will compete in a selection tournament, and the winner goes. I don't know the tournament format yet. I have no other details on that whatsoever, but it's basically win and you're in, which is kind of a cool thing. And I think that's tailor-made to beach, because that's how you get on the tours. That's how you do anything in beach volleyball, is you got to win. You got to prove yourself. So it's kind of one of those sports where if you show up, you got to either prove yourself or you don't get the opportunity as much. So
before you get to that tournament, how many is there a limit to, like, because I mean, I'm guessing all the male athletes that are vying for the spots, right, to win that tournament will train with you and Adam. Is that right? Is that how that's going to work? And is there a limit to how many you will be working with? Is there sort of going to be some cuts that way with the whole big group?
So again, not 100% sure on the plans here, but I believe that we will be training athletes that would like training. They can sign up as part of the Canada Games program, and they can work with us. If they so choose to not train or have other ideas, then they can still compete in the selection tournament, as far as I'm aware, at this point, and that they will still have a chance to go. But obviously, if they want to be a part of the Canada Games program, I would enjoy working with them beforehand. I would enjoy working with any athlete that wants to learn more about beach. So I hope that most athletes would choose to be a part of that program come next summer. But I mean, the option is up to them. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. And don't worry, we won't hold you to anything, Dusty, because, COVID's really thrown a wrench into these things. I mean, if this hadn't happened, we'd be full on summer program now. We'd have it all figured out, and, the calendar would be set. So it's too bad in a lot of ways that way. But if we look at the positive, and I think a lot of us are sort of, we're not used to COVID and this situation, but we are well versed already in sort of saying, you know what? Maybe that's been good for us, in that we're staying open-minded, and little by little, we're going to work ahead. So yeah, and it keeps us more sort of on top of looking at the Volleyball Manitoba website and staying connected with people like you. Um,
Yeah. I think that I just, again, had a great conversation with Scott Koski, and I think that me, him, and Adam kind of met over Skype or FaceTime or whatever it was, and we talked, and we kind of came up with some more creative ideas for how we want to administer a beach program, because I think that it needs a little bit of a tweak, and so it's been really good. But yeah, it's kind of, even though it's thrown a wrench in things, it's created new opportunities.
okay. Hey, we have a coaching question here for you. How did becoming a beach coach differ from becoming an indoor coach?
Um, that's a tough question. They're both volleyball, so very similar sports, but I think becoming a beach coach is a little bit more personal. Like I said earlier, you're only working with like usually two, 4, 6, 8 athletes at a time, really, ideally, and you're trying to work on more like technical skills, and then also putting it together as far as what is this going to look like tactically in a game, and teaching athletes to make their own decisions too is a big component of beach, because the coach has to sit back. So really trying to change my mindset to explain to my athletes, like, in this situation, the guy keeps doing this or the girl keeps doing this. What are we going to do to try and counter that? How are we going to change that? So I think that the beach coaching and the indoor coaching, I'm not going to say they're a ton different, but they definitely have their specialties. And I think that personal relationship where you can kind of have that dialogue with athletes is a little bit different. I think that, again, like I said earlier, it's a bit of a late development sport. So I think that usually I work with older athletes, I'm going to say between 16 and up. And when you work with those athletes, you can have those conversations a little bit more often because they're a little bit more mature and are able to relay it off you. So
yeah, certainly this Canada Games age is they're experienced, and some of those skills are in place. So you got a great answer, by the way. My question, let's keep talking about the coaching thing. What's your philosophy on coaching? How do you approach your athletes? Are you a motivator? Are you like, do you get really emotional? Are you an emotional kind of guy? Are you quiet, laid back? What's your style? I'm sure some people, I know I've seen some young athletes joining that are going to want to play for you. And so let's give them an idea of what it would look like to be in, I was going to say in your gym, but I guess on your beach court.
Honestly, I agree with the learn about how you want to play by playing kind of thing, where we do a lot of competitive drills. It's a lot of in-game situation, competitive. You're trying to create a goal for yourself. So that's the first thing you're going to see if you were to come to a beach practice. Is usually it's a game. Usually it's 2-on-2. We're simulating some sort of game, some sort of score. We got to work on a certain skill, something like that. We're not necessarily just breaking it down into little tiny aspects. So for at least half the practice, we're playing, we're competing, and we're trying to be within the gameplay. Because again, like I said, beach is all about the flow, right? Things change on a fly, and you have to try and change with it. But I think that I'm a very laid back coach. I have a pretty laid back mentality about myself, and I think that the Western Games athletes could attest that last year there was some crunch time moments where I was just kind of sitting there and enjoying it. And I think that Chloe would also attest, because she's a little bit more high strung than I am, I'm going to say. And she was freaking out at some points during the Canada Games, and I was just sitting back relaxing. So I hope Chloe watches this eventually. But I think that I'm a laid back coach, and we'll just roll with the punches, but trying to keep our head on straight and trying to understand the game the best as possible is my approach to coaching.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense in the beach.
Also, Michael Saw, kid that I coached back in the day, playing at UW now, said I'm an absolute tyrant of a coach.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you thanked me for your career once or twice there, Michael. So
he's having some fun with you there. I think that might be opposite world.
Yeah.
But if I think about that, and as we all can sit down and chat as coaches and how much do we give to our players, right? The question is, you need to give that to your players so they take it, and even more so on the beach, you actually literally can't interact with them while they're playing. I mean, you need to be able to pass that on, and they have to motivate themselves when they're out there and be their own minds. It's pretty amazing, actually. For me, that feels like that would be a big difference to transition into that. So good for you. That's awesome. Tell us about,
Yeah.
since we're on the coaching topic, tell us about your assistant coach, Adam Thompson. For those who don't know, who's Adam, and obviously you're excited to work with him, and what does he bring to the table for you?
Yeah, so Adam will be assisting both myself and Chloe at the games. And Adam Thompson, he played at Windsor for 5 years and then actually moved to Ontario for a number of years. I'm not exactly sure how many, and played on the beach circuit in the OUA and practiced with the national team for a couple summers as well. He's a great guy. I've gotten to know him quite well over the last 3 or 4 years. He actually picked me and Adam up in Toronto the first time we went to Beach Nationals. He picked us up from the airport because Adam had known him from Adam DeYonker had known him from a previous games, and so met him there. And he's a great guy. I've enjoyed getting to know him better and playing him quite often too. It's been fun. I'm excited for him to bring some different aspects to the coaching, and I think that we'll work well together. We're both pretty laid back. He's probably got a little bit of a different style compared to me, but I'm not too worried about us trying to click together. So yeah, I'm really excited to work with him.
Sounds good. So what would Adam, your longtime partner, your best buddy, what do you think some of his words of advice for you would be going into the games? What would you expect to hear from him, or what do you expect to hear from him?
I mean, he texted me when it got announced, and he was pretty happy for me, and he just said, enjoy it and have fun and make sure you win. That was pretty much what he said. So he wants us to do the best we can. So there he is.
There he is.
But yeah, no, he was really excited for me. So yeah, he just said that good luck and you'll do great.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you anticipate sort of bringing guys like him in and some other people in to help in the training process?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, last year when I coached the Western Canada Games team, like I said, I ran that tournament and we played in it, and we got to play against the two teams that went to the games, and we played against them a number of times otherwise. So I think that I'll bring him in. I mean, me and Adam Thompson will also play against the teams that are trying out quite often too, or that do make the games. I'm sure that we'll have some good battles there as well. I think it's kind of cool as a coach to be able to play against your athletes. Again, that's a little bit different than indoor would be, but beach is one of those sports where if I play against them, I can learn their tactics and I can learn how to change it and whatnot. So I'm sure I'll bring out guys like Adam. So
oh, that's awesome. Okay, tell me, is there a beach team you look up to, like a team, even sort of world class? Like who do you watch and sort of go, whew, and it could be more than one. And are you aware of some of the coaches and that are out there coaching national team and that kind of stuff? Have you been in contact with any of our national team coaches, that kind of thing?
I haven't. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't followed beach a ton. It just gets too busy in the summers to watch too much of it. I do enjoy when the Olympics are on, or there are FIVB tournaments that I watch. This would probably be a way better question for Adam Thompson to answer because he's dedicated to that stuff. But I don't necessarily have a favorite team. I know that any team that plays where they don't have a blocker and a defender, I enjoy because that's the style that we play. So those typical or prototypical beach teams that have one blocker and one defender aren't necessarily my favorites, but there are a few teams out there that they switch all the time, and I really enjoy that. And then anyone who runs a fast offense on the sand is always fun to watch too, as well, because you can change the tempo of your offense. I say the old school style is up and down, where it's high and long, and the quicker style is how I played and how I've played over the years, and I think it works better where it's a little bit quicker and can beat the block with some speed and whatnot. So any team that plays that way, I enjoy. I had the opportunity to but kind of learn from the national team coach too when he came here for the 2017 games before and during that summer. And Volleyball Manitoba invited me and Adam out to kind of take part in his training program that he had designed for the Canada Games athletes. And that was pretty cool. We got to learn a couple of different things from that. So that was a cool opportunity.
Well, my next question was going to be, do you have a mentor in the sport? Now, you just mentioned you worked a little bit with that national team coach, but would there be someone that you look up to and that, you might go to ask for advice, or is that still, you're sort of looking everywhere?
I'm still looking everywhere, but I mean, I had a few coaches in my day that coached beach and that coached me in beach and really helped me out a lot. And that'd be Ryan Ratushniak and Ryan Munt, another Volleyball Manitoba member there. Both of those guys had a big impact on who I am as a beach player. And if I ever had a question, I mean, I might go to ask one of them to see what's up. I still keep in contact with them regularly. So I've enjoyed working with those two. And if I had a question about beach, I might go to them. But I don't necessarily have one person. I'm always trying to pick different things from different people at all times.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so one big difference between beach and indoor are those shots. Like there's shots indoor too. I mean, some people are amazing at it, but let's be honest, there's a ton of shots in beach. Like, do you actually go specifically through different shots? I know you talked about doing a lot of competition stuff, but do you actually explore that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a huge portion of the game.
Yeah.
Like I would classify that there's nine different shots, but there's probably 30 different shots. But as an athlete, you got to work on each individual one consistently to try and to perfect it, I guess, in a way, or make it better at least. I think that for young athletes, oftentimes a shot just seems as like a tip or something that can kind of be an off speed, but the shots are some of the most deadly to the opponent as you can get. I know that, again, when I played, I wasn't the most athletic, the hardest hitting person, so I relied on the shots, and I got quite experienced in those, and those have helped me throughout my entire beach career. So I would put a lot of stock in working on those for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know sometimes when those of us who don't play beach a lot, when we do play against people that are good, because every once in a while you go, oh, sure, I'll play. I played, and those shots, you're just going, okay, already hit the ball. Like, but they're not going to hit the ball because that's where I am. Like,
yeah. It's funny because when, for a number of years now, when I played with the Bisons, at least, they would all come and take part in, like, we'd all have beach games or play in the beach leagues in the summer and whatnot. And all the indoor guys that I played with that had a lot of success would just be like, damn it, I can't dig you because you just hit a different shot and they're just not used to it. They're just like, they're yelling at me to hit the ball. And I'm like, hey, I'm winning. So, I'm going to keep doing that.
Exactly. Doesn't matter how you do it, but if it hits the sand, it scores. Exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Western Canada Games, you mentioned that you guys in Alberta were sort of battling out for the top. Now that's Western Canada. When we go to the Canada Games, it's going to include everybody. Is there a historically stronger province in Canada? Where does Manitoba rank in the history of beach in terms of Canada Games and those kind of events?
Yeah, so I think that the last games, Ben Hooker and Dan Thiessen got 5th, I want to say. And I think the games before that, I could be wrong, but Matt Schreiber and Matt Stuhlber, I think they got 3rd at the games. So we're usually, I'm going to say right there, and we can kind of beat anyone. But Ontario is usually very strong. They have a very good beach program out in Ontario. And obviously they have more athletes too as well. So that helps a little bit. But they do have a very, very strong program. The OUA beach circuit is something intense. Again, Adam Thompson can probably attest through his years of playing out there, but it's a pretty intense circuit. BC is usually quite good. They play a lot of beach, and I think with COVID now, they'll play even more beach, which could be a little bit tough for us too, because I've been talking to a few players from out there, and they say that they're just training beach like there's no tomorrow. So could be a tough road again, but those two provinces are usually quite good. Alberta's good, and Quebec usually does pretty well. Again, I think you see across the board, volleyball is volleyball kind of, and all those provinces are usually quite good. But I'm looking for us to succeed, and I think that whoever we have as a team will be right there with them. I can't imagine that we won't compete for a medal at least. So
yeah. Well, the Western Canada Games result must make you pretty excited about the potential for Canada Games for Manitoba.
For sure, yeah. I was super happy. I mean, going into it, I tended to try and take home two medals, and we took home a gold, and unfortunately we didn't take home the other one. But we were right there. We had that opportunity, and we played so good out there. It was insane to see. I was so proud of all those athletes, and I think that it was an encouraging sign to see. All 4 athletes stepped up their game immensely, and especially in pressure situations, which that's what I love to see, is that growth. So
could you walk us through a little bit that Western Canada Games final and why you think that our team Manitoba won?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just put it in there, Justin Cross. We ready? But he stepped up massively for us in that game. He was a workhorse that game, and he came with an intensity I'd never seen from him, which was incredible to see and super uplifting as a coach, to be honest, because I'd want that out of him all year long. And then Isaiah Olfert, he's always pretty much on par, but he when he gets his emotions going, he's a pretty dangerous player, and I think that Justin brought out the best in him that game, and they worked together. Honestly, they dominated the final. I think we were up 20-10 at one point, and they like in one of the sets, and they just ran away with it. It was, and we had played that team the day before, too, in the power pool, and it was a 3-set match, but they had won. But the second day they came out, and this Alberta team didn't know what hit them, so it was awesome to see.
Here's a question for you leading into the Canada Games. If someone, is listening and says, well, I'd like to play Canada Games, but I don't have a partner right now. Is there an option for athletes to come individually, register or whatever, and then you put them together, or do they sort of have to come as a pair already made?
Yeah, beach is kind of a different sport like that, and because we're kind of giving the freedom to the athletes for the selection tournament, as far as like them having to compete to get in, there's not much room for me to be. I mean, if an athlete came to me and said, "Hey, I really wanted to play. Do you know of anyone?" I would do my best to find someone. But as it goes, I think you have to kind of come as a pair, and you kind of have to work as a duo from the get-go a little bit more. So again, with those training programs, I think we're aiming for groups of 4. So if athletes don't necessarily know what partner they want to play with yet, but have a couple of buddies in mind, then all 4 of them can kind of come out and work together and see what happens. But yeah, you got to kind of come as a duo. You got to find a partner that you enjoy playing with and you think will do well with.
Yeah. Well, you can see the question probably, but with the season so short, what are things that athletes should be doing right now to get ready for Beach League this summer? What can they be doing right now?
I mean, staying in shape is probably the biggest portion of it. I know that it's not easy right now. I guess the gym's just kind of opened up, but even if you just go to Sargent Park or go to any of those beach courts and run around, you're gonna do a little bit better once you hit the sand come July. I think that yeah, just maintaining. I mean, any athlete out there can work on their pokies or their cobras or anything like that, and try and just get that ball control down. I know that a lot of athletes sometimes don't like one-handed work, and I think that right now you're sitting at home, you can just juggle a ball back and forth on each hand, right? And kind of keep that going and keep the touch alive. And then setting is obviously a big difference too in the sand. You have to be a little bit more clean with your sets. Mm-hmm. It can't come out with as much spin. You can't come out sideways or anything like that. You got to be square to where you're setting primarily. So I think if you have time at home, just try and work on slowing the hands down a little bit and releasing that ball as clean as possible.
What is the rule? How much can it turn on a set?
The rule has changed so much. Even over the time that I've played, it's changed entirely. When I first started playing, it had to be clean as clean can be. It could come out with no spin whatsoever. But in the recent years, they've tried to take away the ref's ability to stop an exciting rally with a dirty contact. So it's now a little bit more. You can have a little bit more spin to it. It's more about the hand position and how it comes out of the hands. If it comes out of the hands and one hand is further in front of the other or something like that, then it changes and it's called 2 hits. And the carries, again, it depends on how familiar you are with beach, but some people out there will know that the deep dish is a real thing, and people used to do it all the time, but it's kind of changed now, and you can't bring it down past your chin anymore. It's got to be a little bit more on top of your head. So.
All right. So you were joking a little bit before about just run around on the beach, but literally, I mean, that's actually a good way to get in shape for playing on the beach is moving in the sand.
For sure, yeah. I mean, if you run sprints and you do some lateral jumps, some up and down jumps. I mean, working on your approach. The approach for, I'm gonna say 95% of indoor athletes is the toughest thing to get because they take big, long strides, and in the sand, you can't do that. It has to be short, choppy steps, and you slam the sand down with 2 feet and go straight up. You're not drifting really as much in the sand. So if you get out there and you just work on your approach, work on your lateral movements and sprints through the sand, and even just running, because Beach volleyball, I can tell you from experience, tournaments are long, they're hard, especially when it's plus 35 out, the sun's beating down on you, and you've played 3 or 4 games already. The legs start to go. So if you can get them conditioned early on, it really pays off.
Yeah, it really is a different game that way in terms of the elements and all of that. And yeah, just getting to a ball on the sand is so different. Okay, let's talk about maybe my final question, unless we get some more. But how excited are you about being a part of a multi-sport games? And what do you anticipate being the excitement of being a part of the Canada Games in 2021?
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I mean, I had an opportunity to go to the 2017 games as the indoor manager with the indoor team, so that was exciting to be at, especially in Winnipeg. But I'm excited to get out and then go to somewhere else and experience what the athlete village is like there, and the coaches village, and talk to some knowledgeable coaches about beach volleyball, and then obviously work with the athletes leading up to the games and at the games. I enjoyed my time insane at the Western Games, and I think that just being a part of that was such a cool experience. I just can't imagine what the Canada Games will be like as far as that goes, and the intensity and everything that goes on there. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. I was counting on this. I was hoping that I would be the Canada Games coach. I was ready to apply the day it came out, and I was super excited, and I knew that this is what I wanted to work towards as a beach coach. So it's been nice to accomplish this goal and get named as the coach, and now I got to actually do the job and hopefully find some success for our teams out there. So I'm excited to work with Adam again, and Chloe too. I worked with Chloe last summer. She did the Western Games team for the women, and that was a cool experience because, again, like I said, we're two very different coaches, but we worked really well together. So that was awesome to see. And then yeah, no, I'm just thrilled, to be honest. The only thing that's always a little bit nerve-wracking is I don't necessarily get to pick the team, so it's kind of like I got to train everyone, and then they get to go out and compete, and whoever wins is who I get. So I'm excited to see who comes out and tries out for that tournament, and yeah, it'll be a fun time.
Okay, well, that was maybe one of my last questions, but we did get another one here. And what makes the best beach pair? That's a great question. Player sizes, tall and small, similar sizes, skill sets, speed and size difference. Like, what do you see as sort of maybe an ideal pairing, or is there no such thing?
I don't think that there is an ideal pairing out there. It's whatever works for you and whatever works for you and your partner. I think I've played against numerous teams that have a guy who's 5'8", who only hits shots, and then a guy who's 6'9" and can block everything. And we've also played against teams that are both 6 feet tall but jump out of the gym and are able to do different things. So, I mean, being athletic helps. Speed helps. Skill really helps. So if you can work on any of those, then I mean that'll obviously help you in the sand. But as far as a pairing goes, I don't know that there's much difference. It's kind of up to you and what works for you and what works for your partner. But I think honestly, the best pairing that you can get is finding someone that you enjoy playing with, that you enjoy through the tough times as well, because there are moments where volleyball is very frustrating. And so, especially as a 2-person sport, I know that in the past, if I ever had a hard time with playing, like Adam would be there to pick me up, or if he had a hard time, I would be there to pick him up. I know that I've seen teams where if someone has a hard time, they get on top of the other guy, and that works for them, or it doesn't work for other teams. So, I mean, finding someone that you can find a good relationship with is the ultimate. I know that Ryan Ratushniak there said ball control. He preached that my entire career. Thank you, Ryder.
Yeah, and he also said congrats. Really cool. But, I mean, you mentioned Ryan is one of the guys that you really look up to, and it's cool when guys like that sort of come back around and they follow your career. And I know Ryan's a great guy. He's really excited for you there. And of course, JJ Love looks like 6 foot 8 inch twins, 40-inch verticals, one right and one left-handed. Okay.
That might be the ideal. You got me there. You know what? I was trying to give a more political answer, but that's probably the ideal. Yeah. And both freakishly athletic would be perfect too.
Yeah, that's what you need. 6 foot 8 inch twins that can actually move. That would be good. That would be good. Well, we've seen some of our Canadian teams do amazing in the world and world championships even, and pairs of all shapes and sizes. And I think you're right. I think on a team, they talk about how chemistry really makes an indoor team work, which is a different dynamic. But yeah, with just two people, find someone who you love spending a lot of time with, and that you'll work like dogs together to be the best you can be. I think if you can push each other, that's got to be huge in terms of a beach volleyball team.
For sure, yeah. And I know like beach, again, you play a lot of tournaments. It's a lot of like long onslaught days. And if you don't enjoy being with that person for 12 plus hours, they're probably not the person to hang out with. But I mean, it's up to anyone who they want to play with.
Awesome. So. Well, Dusty, we're getting some best of lucks. We're getting some really good cheers about how, the Bison herd is going to be tough to beat at Canada Games. And I really believe that. I mean, we obviously know we already have some great athletes and Western Canadian champions, and that is just going to spur on others to really fight and try to fight for those two spots. That's a neat part of the qualification for Canada Games. You have to fight and be on that given day, and the best team will win and go to represent Manitoba. So, you know what? Thank you for joining us. Super cool to get to know you. And you must like the sun and the sand a bit to want to do beach volleyball.
Oh, I love the sun and the sand. As you can probably tell by my promotional pic there, I get quite tan in the summer, so it works well for me.
Yeah.
But I encourage all athletes to come out and try out. I think that I know that some might be reserved from it, and there's going to be different changes for athletes this year, especially with COVID, and then some going into university now and whatnot. And I think that if you want to train and you want to get better, please watch the Volleyball Manitoba website so that you can come out and I can get a good look at you and see what you got as a beach volleyball player.
Yeah, you bet.
Sure.
Yep. In terms of all that registration, tryouts, and all that, I know that you are keeping your eye on the Volleyball Manitoba website as well. And give it a shot. Don't count yourselves out before you know what it's up. You might actually get on the sand. Dusty gives you a few great pointers, and who knows, could be the next best thing. All right. Well, thanks so much. Our hour is almost done. And so Dusty Spiring, our 2021 Canada Games head coach for our men's volleyball team. Boy, we're excited that you're a part of this whole thing, and we're proud to call you our own, Dusty, and we're really excited. And so thanks for a little bit of education on the beach volleyball front, and for a little bit of information for our athletes, and just for wanting to do this and being so passionate to pass it on to the young athletes that we have coming up. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the praise, and thank you for doing this as well. It's been a blast. So
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks for all your comments, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. We're going to try to get Chloe on, hopefully next week sometime, and maybe same time, same place next week. But we'll let you know. Also, keep your eye on your Instagram and all that, and we will love to chat with Chloe and get to know her as well. And then we might dive down into the assistant coaches for Canada Games, and we're going to really get to know this team. And it's kind of been a blessing in disguise how COVID has led us to some different ideas. And thank you for spending this bit of time with us. From Volleyball Manitoba, I'm Michelle Swatsky. We'll see you later.